From Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Vayetze, the meaning of the ladder. We know that when Yaakov is heading out of the land of Israel, heading to find a bride, running away from Esau, his brother, we know that he has a dream, and in it, he sees a ladder going to heaven, angels going up and down. The question is, what does this represent? The rabbis, throughout the ages, various midrashim, have suggested numerous interpretations of what this ladder represents. And the question is, how do those interpretations fit with the story itself, with the narrative itself? Why would he be dreaming about this particular symbolism at this particular point? So let's take the idea that it represents the going up and the going down of Jewish history. The Romans go up and then they go down. The Greeks, the Persians, they all go up and they go down. Why would Jacob be dreaming about that at this particular point? It's at this point that he realizes his role, not just as an individual, but he becomes the father of Israel. He becomes the nation of Israel. He's not named Israel till later, but he becomes that type of forefather. As such, the future of the Jewish people is on his mind. The future is being prophesied to him. Some say that it represents prophets, because prophets are also called something like a malach, an angel, a representative of God. And others say it refers to Kohanim. The Kohanim go up the ramp, they go down the ramp, and therefore it refers to the Kohanim, the priests. Now, why would he be dreaming about that right now? At this moment, he not only becomes the father of the Jewish people, but he also becomes a prophet. This is his inaugural prophecy, and therefore it's appropriate that he begins to dream of the prophecy, where the prophecy comes from above and comes into their head here below. It's also appropriate for him to become the Kohen. We know in the Midrashim, there was an idea that Esau didn't want to be the Kohen. It's too dangerous, too many issues, you could lose your life, if God forbid, if you go in the wrong place. And Yaakov became the high priest. So part of his role is not only to become the father of the Jewish nation, not only to become a prophet, but also to become the high priest, the one who will offer, who will build an altar, who will be the first of the Kohanim in the chain, leading eventually to Aaron, the first official Kohen. We know that it also alludes to Mount Sinai. We know at Mount Sinai, the people went up the mountain, some people went up to here, others went up to there, and in fact, even Ibn Ezra mentions that there is an idea that the sulam, the word for ladder, and the word Sinai are actually numerically the same. So there's an association. Now, why would he be thinking about Sinai? We're not talking about Sinai at this point. There's no laws going on. I'd like to suggest that at this point, Yaakov becomes not only the father of a nation, not only a prophet, not only the chief Kohen, but he also becomes the one who spreads Torah. Yaakov is known as Emet. He's the one who's interested in truth. Despite what you might think, he's the man of truth. Titen Emet Yaakov. Truth is Torah. Yaakov is the one who studies for 14 years in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver. Yaakov represents Torah. And in that sense, there's an experience of Sinai right now, of the angels coming down, the godly Torah coming down into this world. It's a revelation, and there was a revelation at Sinai, and he's having a similar revelation. In fact, it's through Torah that a Jew can reach higher levels and lower levels. It's an allusion to the fact that the Jews would be given a tool through which they can go up and down. Then, if we look in the Tzor HaMor, the Spanish and Portuguese commentator Rabbi Abraham Sivan, he mentions these various midrashim, and he also says, some say it alludes to the creation. There are two things the rabbis say that it's hard to talk about. Mishnah Chagiga talks about have to restrict to the extent to which you discuss it with students, and that's the creation itself and the throne of God that we see in the beginning of Yechezkel. And he says that both of these are found here. Yaakov here becomes a mystic understanding the creation above, the heaven and the earth, ladders going from heaven to earth. Creation was about creation of heaven and earth, and he's also learning about the Merkavah, about the throne of God. The angels are coming from the throne of God, and they're coming down to Jacob. He's learning about that as well. And then they say the ladder represents himself, the tzaddik himself, who needs to elevate his soul and bring it higher and higher. That is part of it as well. But it's not just a ladder, it's also a connector between heaven and earth. And Torah more elaborates on this idea. He says it's one of the fundamental principles of Judaism is to connect everything, the Sod HaYichud, to connect. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, that everything is one. He says that's why all the candles of the menorah head in one place. The menorah is made out of one piece. So many things in Judaism relate to the connection of heaven and earth. How does that relate to Jacob in the story here? Jacob is going off to Mesopotamia. He's going to have to work for wives. He's going to have sibling rivalries. He's going to have wife rivalry. He's going to have to deal with a tricky father-in-law. He's going to have to deal with his employment. He's going to have to deal with 20 years of sleepless nights working hard for a living. And he has to connect that with the spirituality of his father's home of Yitzchak and the spirituality of the angels up in heaven. It's about connection. It's not just about becoming a prophet, becoming a priest, becoming the father of the Jewish nation, but it's also to connect that to the very earthly aspects of building a nation, building a family, building wealth. This is all part of the oneness of the Jewish people. In summation, the Torah Mor says that this story is unbelievable. It includes everything. We're from the creation to the revelation of the throne of God, to the exiles from whether it's Egypt or other exiles we had, to the building of the temple itself and the Kohanim going up and down to Mount Sinai. It's all hinted to here. And that's why Jacob is that incredible figure. May raise questions about this action he took or the other action he took from a spiritual point of view. He is the one who has this most spiritual vision. And therefore, we say in our Shabbat prayers, Ra'avid kin surat halvana, that when the angels saw the image of Jacob, God made the moon. So to speak, sort of like the man on the moon is Jacob. Jacob is here on earth, but his image is up in the moon. His image is up in heaven. His image is on the throne of God. He is the Israel asher b'chayit pa'ar, a verse in Isaiah 49:3, that Jacob is that individual who God says, you know, angels, I've got a Jacob in this world. There's such a thing as a Jew, and I'm very proud of it. He's that image we all strive to be, of that Jew that God would be excited to tell everybody, there's a Jew in the world representing the best of everything that God is all about. And that's Jacob. It's where Jacob becomes that ideal Jew who connects the heaven and earth, the earthly pursuits with the heavenly aspirations. This, yes, it alludes to a lot of different things, and it's not just a hodgepodge of interpretations. All these things are true. He's becoming all of these things at this very moment. And as he's running away and he's afraid, God stands above and he says that Anochi, that he will be with him, that he will be with him in these times. And that's the ultimate message. At this particular time in his fleeing, that God promises, guard him wherever he goes and return him to the land. So it's not just a spiritual journey that he's going on, but it's also a promise that he will eventually come back to the land. He goes up and he'll be coming back. The angels will protect him here, the angels will protect him there. And this too is part of not only this spiritual image, but also part of the narrative itself, that Jacob here learns that he will make it, he will come home, and with that connection to God, he becomes The Jacob we know, prophet, priest, the leader, the representative of the ideal human being here on earth and on the moon. Thank you for joining us here at Parsha Vayetze for a discussion of Parsha Vayetze here at the Anshe Sfard Beth El Emeth congregation here in Memphis, Tennessee. Join us each week for a discussion of the Parsha, the various holidays, and thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.